许多人会问，晶片半导体中国到底会不会自己突破？时间会多长？1年、2年、3年，或者什么时候？华为现在是不是已经做到了哪些东西？实际上，这个部分行家会告诉你，可能要3年、5年，甚至有的时候是更长的时间。但是有一项是电动车，尤其是电动车的电池，它几乎囊括了全世界最厉害的这个钠电池啊。那最近也发展出一个叫做钠离子电池，其中最重要的公司是宁德时代。
And when it comes to battery manufacturing, one country is the undisputed leader.
Battery production in China has been really growing very fast because it has a strong demand.
China produces most of the battery cells for EVs, claiming about 75% of market share. 6 of the 10 largest battery manufacturers are in China, and it also extracts 60% of the rare earths used to make batteries.
美国或许能从晶片与技术出口管制遏制中国在科技领域的进一步发展，但在电动车电池这场决定21世纪技术控制权的竞争中，美国注定难望其项背。
Just look at this list. The top battery makers for electric vehicles. At number 1 is CATL. It stands for Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited, CATL. Chances are you've never heard of this company. But look at its market share. It's almost 37% as of last year. 1 out of 3 batteries sold are made by this company, CATL, and its clients are the likes of Tesla, Volkswagen, and BMW. At number 2 on our list is BYD. They have around 16% market share.
电动车核心要素零件锂电池是中国遭美国多方包夹后，截至目前为数不多还具备能力规避白宫垄断与脱钩的自家制造领域。
CATL and BYD, both are Chinese. Together, they make up 53% of all EV batteries. So randomly take 2 electric vehicles, one of them will have a Chinese battery. Do you see why that's a problem? Going forward, most vehicles are expected to be electric, and those vehicles will need batteries. If China controls that market, it gives them power. They can choke rival countries, or drive up prices, or use the batteries as a bargaining chip, a bit like the Gulf does with oil.
宁德时代之所以能够维持生产王者地位，旗下主力产品磷酸铁锂电池拥有独家研发专利，确保电池性能与热稳定度跟寿命。还有一个很大的原因是，中国拥有大量的锂矿储备与提炼技术，但宁德时代并未因此停下脚步。
Relying on lithium alone won't cut it. The world will need every option available, and that's where sodium-ion batteries come into the picture. So let's take a look at that element. Beneath the Earth's crust, sodium is abundant, making up around 2.3%. It might not sound like much, but that's over 1,000 times more the amount of lithium found under the Earth's crust. Not only is it more readily available, but it's also cheaper. In early 2024, sodium carbonate was valued at approximately $290 per metric ton. Battery-grade lithium carbonate was more than $13,000 per metric ton. And lithium batteries need precious materials like cobalt and nickel to work. But sodium doesn't. It's found everywhere. It's simply salt, and not limited to a specific region. The world's largest battery manufacturer, Chinese CATL, already went big on sodium-ion technology in 2021. Just 2 years later, it was supplying Chinese carmaker Chery with salt batteries. And recently, this e-car type from JAC Group's Yiwei was in the spotlight. Reports say that some of the cars from this model are powered by a sodium battery. This probably means that in some Chinese cities, tiny salt-powered e-cars are already in use, though we weren't able to find any further information or figures on how many of them.
At the moment, I think China is leading the race. One should never give up. But we have this technology sooner or later with us also, I think. But now it's in China, and we have to close the gap.
相较于锂电池，钠电池体积较大，但安全性更高，使用寿命更长，而且在高温下较为稳定，不易发生安全事故。2023年年底，素有欧洲电池一哥称号的瑞典电池企业 Northvolt 也宣布，成功研制了能量密度超过160瓦时每千克的钠电池。技术路线与宁德时代略同，但研发速度明显滞后。
The hardest part about trading into battery technology is actually not making one good battery in a laboratory. It's to produce 1 million of those, including the supply chain of it, including the gigafactories that you need to build.
But why is China so far ahead? Experts say that while Europe has been researching sodium-ion batteries for longer, China actually commercialized them earlier and got a head start of at least 3 or 4 years. One of the main hurdles they face is weight. They tend to be heavier than lithium-ion batteries.
电动车电池供应链已成为美国大幅落后的制造领域。拜登2021年上台后，便将它纳入美中科技战的新战场，并利用抗通膨法试图削弱中国在该行业的主导权。今年初，美国国会更禁止国防部自2027年10月起向宁德时代、比亚迪等6家中国企业采购电池，试图进一步推动五角大厦供应链与中国脱钩。
The United States has come to, realize the degree of dependence on a single country, and in the context of recent, some of the economic coercion cases that the United States has seen, those have all sort of added up and really are getting a really bipartisan focus in Washington, D.C. on the degree of the U.S. dependence on China.
The battle over batteries is at a critical point. There is one dominant player, China, with a tight grip on much of the battery supply chain. A grip it has no wish to relinquish. As the world confronts the looming spectre of climate change, whether the battery battlefield becomes one of contest or cooperation could affect us all.
We're kind of at a fork in the road about whether we're going to see two worlds of batteries in electric vehicles, a Chinese one and a non-Chinese one. It's going to be unfortunate for technological innovation, and it's going to be unfortunate for our efforts to combat the climate disaster.
The world needs a lot more EVs on the road if any countries or many countries are going to meet their commitments, right, towards net zero or towards other types of climate commitments. And we are very far away from that. So what could be the worst case scenario if China does restrict, say, some of the minerals that it has access to? That process will slow down. That could be a negative outcome really for many countries and for any kind of climate targets that we have.